We flew to Aswan from Cairo, arriving at night and crossing by ferry to where we'd stay on Elephantine Island. Water travel is the only means of reaching the island. We stayed at the wonderful Nubian Soul guest house, quiet and calm, especially at sunrise. It was by far the most relaxed of any of our stays in Egypt. Elephantine Island is generally underdeveloped. While there are numerous guest houses and even houseboats for tourists, there are no motorized vehicles, not even motorcycles. But that adds to the island's laid-back charm. Everywhere else we visited in Egypt, there were always vehicles buzzing around and taxi drivers accosting us for rides. The west side of Elephantine was a great place to have a traditional Nubian lunch, while you watched the Nile slowly go by. Once, we saw a heron waiting on the shore, a common but sacred bird to ancient Egyptians that represents the cycle of life, death, and renewal, and we would later see it used in a tomb painting. The north side of the island is the most developed. The top local restaurant is King Jamaica, with a great reggae vibe and fantastic food. The northern tip is owned by the Movenpick Aswan, a 5-star resort that stands in stark contrast to the rest of the island. Elephantine Island is small, only a mile long, and we stayed near the southern end, so it was an easy walk to the southwest tip, where the best sunsets are supposed to be. We were surprised to walk right by some ancient ruins. It turns out, most of the southern tip was an ancient city, first built 5,000 years ago, a few decades before the pyramids at Giza. Its location just north of the first cataract of the Nile, the traditional border between ancient Egypt and Nubia, made it an ideal trading hub. Most of the city is an active archaeological site that you can pay to visit. The small museum houses artifacts discovered at the site. The city has several temples from different eras, and most are dedicated to Elephantine's primary god, Khnum, god of the Nile. Together with the goddesses Anuket and Satet, they protected the Nile and Egypt's southern border. The main temple on the island, dedicated to Khnum, is still mostly down to the foundation. But because he has the head of a ram, sacred rams were kept and buried here. And part of his role in regulating Nile flooding, his priests kept a Nilometer that measured the level of the Nile at all times. One of the temples from the Ptolemaic period is outside the protected site, and we were able to see it for free on our sunset walk. With structures that span over 5,000 years, the ancient city of Elephantine was amazing to see. Some of the stone in the temples had a pink hue that matched the granite boulders on the island. The area all around Elephantine has been quarried for over 5,000 years and shipped downriver to the rest of Egypt. The prized pink granite has been used in some of ancient Egypt's most famous monuments. And it's still quarried and sold today. And we can confirm that the sunsets on the southwest of Elephantine Island are spectacular. There are some small markets on the island, but they're cash only and there are no ATMs. So you have to take the ferry to the east bank to get cash or groceries. Aswan is a fairly conservative city, so women have to sit in front in a separate section from the men. One not to miss place on the east side is the Nubian Museum that has some informative exhibits on Nubian history and culture, which is usually overshadowed by all the attention on ancient Egypt. Another must-see is the Riverside Cataract Hotel. Now part of the Sofitel chain, it was first opened in 1899 during the British colonial era. A late Victorian design incorporates Moroccan and Spanish Moorish elements, not Egyptian, but there's no denying the luxurious feel of the place. Agatha Christie wrote her classic novel Death on the Nile while staying here, and fans can indulge in style for about $60 per person. A must-do while in Aswan is to take a felucca ride. Sunset rides are popular, but we went in the late morning when the wind that day was most optimal. An Italian word for a style of sailing vessel used throughout the Mediterranean, Middle East, and India for over 2,000 years, you can easily book with the pilots waiting ashore, though we went through our rest house host. You can make stops at some sites along the west bank or on the island that's home to the botanical garden. But we were happy just to sail around Elephantine Island. Aswan is one port of departure for Nile river cruises. They're extremely popular and numerous cruise ships are docked here at any given time. We departed Aswan on a cruise that we booked through our guest house, and getting to our boat was a comedy of errors, which we'll cover in our next video, so stay tuned.